In this video, I'm going to talk about the very first things you should do when logging into EVERQUEST. Now, when you first log into EVERQUEST, whether it be a TLP server or a live server, you're going to get an interface like this. This is known as the default interface. It'll look something like this with the windows kind of in all these weird places. This is for a 1080, 1920 by 1080 resolution. If you have a smaller monitor, for example, a 720 monitor, which nobody has anymore these days, it will look a lot different. And if you have a monitor that only does 540, well, it'll look even more different than this. And especially if you have a big monitor, a 4K monitor, it will be really stretched out. So they don't have default setups for a certain monitor and a certain look. It would be nice if they had a default for, let's say, a Monk that looked pretty cool and you could switch between them and see what you like. But that's not the case, so you have to basically build your own setup here, your own little UI and layout. I call it basically the layout. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what the most important things are for setting this up. I think the first thing you want to do is you want to go in and you want to change the chat font size, because on a 1920, a 1080 monitor, you can barely read this unless you're really close or you have eagle eyes. So let's go ahead and change it, and the command you'd use is /chat font size 5. See, like that, you can barely see it, but there you go. Once you do that, it changes this to that size. Now you'll notice the other window isn't that way, so you have to do it in the other window. But we're not going to do that. We're going to get rid of this window, and we're going to use tabs for this demonstration. If you're curious about what tabs are, I have a video on what are tabs and how are they so awesome and all that. Check out that video. It's in the tutorials playlist. It'll help you make tabs. Very useful. Second thing you want to do is you want to keep in mind that you have to decide how you want your play area to look. You may see other people's interfaces where they clutter the screen up and where there's only a little spot they can see in the middle or right in the corner, and I don't know how they draw them, but they have all the 50 million buttons and all that. If you want that, that's fine. And if you enjoy playing it looking through a periscope, then that's great. But in my case, I like to play with the most visible space possible. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about how to do that. So next thing we want to do before you get to that is let's go into the options button. Go to here. This is also important. Your first time logging in, you're going to see this. You're going to see it. It's up to you if you want to set auto split. Generally in group play you want to have it auto split. Make sure you click these here, because if somebody needs to drag your corpse, that is important to set up. And that's basically all it is. You have turn on auto AFK. This is nice because people will know you're on auto AFK. Turn off means if you move a little bit, you go off auto AFK. Now I like to go into display here and check your settings. I like to keep my clip plane and my gamma up, especially if you're human. Make sure that gamma is up. That means you can see further. If you're a race like a dark elf, you don't have to worry about that at all. If your machine is slow and can't handle too much, set your spell particles to density to low and whatnot. This will give you better performance. But nowadays, most people's PCs are very, very fast and they can handle it. Let's go into advanced real quick, and there are a couple other important things in here. What you want to look for is this thing called shadows right here. Notice the shadows like this? It looks really cool, right? But some people have slow graphics cards, so you don't want to keep those on. Look at the advanced lighting. Sometimes advanced lighting looks good, sometimes it doesn't. So I just go with this here, the basics, so I get better performance. And the graphics aren't so good that, you know, you put shadows on, it's not going to this game's not going to look like The Witcher. So don't even bother unless you have the PC horsepower to do it. So you can see how I have it set up. I set my terrain texture high, but the main key here is shadows. Shadows can really slow your computer down. For example, if you get in an area where there's a lot of mobs or a lot of people, so let me give you an example here. You can see there, it's got people, everything's got a shadow on it. This guy's got a shadow, and it just slows it all down. So just beware of shadows, and that should be good right there. Okay, so then we're done with that. Let's go ahead and close this out. And now let's go ahead and form this whole thing. In my case, I like to have the maximum usable screen so that when I'm in third person mode, you can see everything. If you roll the mouse button forward, you see in first person mode. And I've heard that if you are epileptic, this is not good, because if you go too fast, you're gonna get a seizure and then you're gonna throw up. So you may not want to drive in this mode here. I encourage people to go into third person mode. Roll the middle mouse button back and forward, back and forward like this. So this is also good because when you're out there, if there's a mob behind you and it's going to attack you, you can see it and you can look around corners kind of like this or like that. If you're like this, you can't see and you got to do this and you're going to get dizzy and not going to feel good. So use this, stay in third person mode. And let's go ahead and show you how to build this. I take this button here, this is a hotbar, and this is another hotbar. In the early game, on a TLP, you're not going to need more than one hotbar, but you may need it later. But since you don't need it, I right click this here and I go to window and I go to close. So we don't need this hotbar at all. Next thing I will do is I want to go ahead and stretch this out to cover the bottom like this. This bar here is okay. You can get this all the way over here. Let's move these all on this side. This extended target window will not be around until you're level 20 on a TLP server. So if you're on a live server, you will get this, but let's pretend we're on a TLP. I go ahead and use this button here to shrink it, move it up to that point. Then I want to put the group window down here. Since I'm right-handed, I want to be able to see the group at all times. This button here, the daybreak EQ button, isn't as important. You can put it over wherever you want. It's not that important a button to use. So I want to try to develop the whole bottom of the screen like this. Next thing is if you look at the group button, it's about the group box, it's about that high. So you have a choice. If you like, if you can see enough text going by here, you can go ahead and set this to a little higher, but I like to go something like this here. And let's make this about like that, just as this will give you a decent amount of territory to run with. Now I will go like this. See how you've got it turns into X. You can drag this over here. And some people have said, well, you know, increasing your health bar is not going to give you more health. That's absolutely right, but I'll tell you why I like to make it a little bit bigger rather than smaller. And the reason why I like it bigger is because sometimes you get a better feel of just how much health you have. Let me give you an example. In the original health bar was something like that. Okay, so what happens is it's very hard to tell when you're at 25% or you're at 35% or something like that. And this is also good for like on raids. Sometimes monsters will do things at the boss will do something at a certain level, and it's very hard to see. And it'll be very, very hard to see this. Okay, so you know, you see people will do this kind of thing, and then this bar is like way out here in the corner. You know, that's okay. As long as you're okay with that, then that's fine. But I go for a bigger health bar, and there's another reason why I do that too. So here's your health bar. You want to make sure that it shows the gray health bar, the gray timer bar underneath it. Is because later on when you do raids or you're fighting and you get a lot of buffs, you could fill this whole thing out with buffs. But let's just go to here to about there. That'll hold one buff per line. Okay, let's bring it to here. We're going to try to minimize as much of the screen as possible. Let's go over here, and now you're dealing with buffs. Early on a TLP server, you're not going to have that many buffs. You can't hold that many. So let's go ahead and shrink this to a smaller size so it fits all in here, just like that. Okay, so there's your buffs window. It should all fit in there. If you need more, just expand it more. So there, that should hold 8, probably maybe even 12 or 16 buffs. Okay, other keys that aren't so, other boxes that aren't so important, I'll put it up there. But this is also nice to put here for a reason. And I'll show you why. I'll keep the songs up there. Early in the game, you're not going to have many songs on you, only 3 or so. So you can make it fit 3 like that. Here we're going to try to put this on the side. And this is because over here, you may want to add in things like, okay, you have your mend over here, and you may want to have a button bar right over here. So I'll keep this close by. Next thing is let's move this over there. And we're going to move it just like that. And I believe we're missing target of target. This is also important. And this is why if you're fighting, it would go like this, as I like target over target of target to the right. So for example, if I'm playing and I've got the target, I've clicked on the target, then I can click on it here. I can click on a group member here, like for example, my next group member, I click on him and I can take the target. Like somebody will say, I'm targeting this. Can you target my target? I'll click the person here and then click back up here. It's all close and you don't have to move the mouse very far. You won't have to move from here to here. So all the important stuff is right around here. You also have your buttons here like this. So next, let's go ahead, and I usually like to put the sit over here, and that's because I can hit the equal sign, and this is your sit here. Find, it's up to you if you want to use find. I just hit Control F, I'm used to doing that. And let's put kick right here. And now if you have a spell bar, I like to keep the spell bar on the right. So spell bar would just line up my spells. It's similar to this, and you could drag spells into this here. So this is what I like to do to start. Next step we're going to talk about is let's go ahead and set up the tabs. First, let's click on this tab and show you what is going on in this tab. If you go into here, you can see, if you go into there, melee, look at all the things it's using. It's doing your misses, your flurry. Okay, so early on a TLP server, you're not going to be flurrying. You're not going to see NPC rampage. You're not going to see any of this stuff. All you're going to see is your hits and your misses. And I find that the misses aren't really important to show. So you can either click them off like here, but I like to do this. I like to go ahead and close tab like so. Now you have a new tab, and like I said, if you've seen my video on doing the tabs, that's a very good one to watch. Let's go ahead, and then we're going to go ahead and do a new tab. Let's go ahead and put the filters. Let's say something like this. Let's go over to melees, and we're going to go to melee, and then we're going to put my hits in here. That's important. And let's go ahead and do this. Let's do see, we have critical hits. It's always nice to have critical hits in there. You want to know that. That way it isn't just spamming a whole bunch of stuff. And you don't need to know the deaths, because you know when you die and other people are going to die. So you don't need to do that. And skills, you just need, early on, you just need your melees. And that's all important here. Let's see, is there any other combat disciplines? You can, not so important. You can look here, there's just nothing that's really a big deal to put. You just want to know if you're hitting or you're missing, and that's all. Okay, so we got this. This is just that, and then we're going to go ahead, right click this, rename this to just something like that. And when this tab is up, let's go ahead and then make a new tab, and in this tab we can go ahead and put in something like channel. Let's do group right here. If you're not in a guild, set this to group. Okay, you can set the filter to group like this, so it'll just have group talk in here. Okay, let's go ahead and rename this. See, this is why I like to stretch it out. You have lots and lots of territory to put in here. Okay, let's go ahead and put new tab, and you can arrange it all like this, and you'll see that when something pops up, group talk or something, it'll flash. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's put in like an auction, right? Put auction. And you can put OOC if it's not too bad, because on TLP servers a lot of people will sell things in OOC. It's not always auction. If you're in the common lands, you're going to see OOC. In auction, you can see that everywhere. So they'll go ahead and just put them both in here. If there's too much OOC spam, just take it out, and we're going to rename it. Once again, if you have a big monitor, you can put them all in here and it'll show. So this is what it'll kind of look like. See, notice now that since this is we use this one, we have the same chat font size like that. You can even separate this. If you look back here, see there's all this general chat in here, and you can set up another one just for general, because some people don't like it, but I keep it in the main channel like this. Now that you've done this, you're getting there, but let's do one more thing, and it depends on how you like this. I like to come into this window here, and then you can go ahead and you can set up the alpha. And what the alpha does is it makes it transparent. So let's go ahead and set the faded level. Okay, you can see what it looks like here. When it goes to faded level, it should fade a little bit. Oh, excuse me, like that. Let's set to here. Window, alpha, normal level, okay? Okay, see how it went down a little bit like that? Now, you can go back to this here, excuse me. Wait a second here. And it's a little confusing. A normal level, the faded level is 50. Let's set it live. Here we go, got it right now. 40, this is, okay, this is what happens. Sorry about that. So let's go back here and get into alpha, normal level. So what this means is you can do this. Okay, if you put your mouse over it, it'll turn black like this. This is always good. If you take your mouse off it, in a little while, it'll turn down to this. This gives you a nice transparent look here. And this will give you a nice transparent look to it. See how it goes like this? And if you just click over here, it'll go back eventually. So what I like to do with this here is I like to set this here to like this. Let's get to alpha. Let's get to faded level, and let's put it, you can figure out what you like. Set the faded level to 75. This is pretty good. You can set it even more, but I don't suggest setting it too low, and the reason why is because sometimes you don't realize that there's a window there and you're going to try to move. For example, you'll try to go over here and you'll try to do this. So let's go ahead and change this here. Back to window, alpha, the normal level. Normal level would be good, something like, whoops, I missed. Okay, so here, hit accept. There. This is going to be the normal level. This is what you're always going to see. And this is pretty cool because you get some visibility through here. See how this looks? So you get to see everything. If you go over here, you can still see everything. But if you find that you can't see or you're having problems, set this a little higher and go to faded. So let's do this again. So let's go to normal level. Okay, this is going to be normal. So as you put your mouse over it, if you see a text, you go put your mouse over it and you look at it, it's black. And then when you take the mouse off, it should go to a lower level. See how it does that? So let's set the lower level even lower. Let's do that and you can see what that looks like. Go to faded. And now faded at 75. Let's set it at 50. Okay, see how it's becoming even more transparent. This is really good. You go around, you can see what you're doing. You can also do the same thing with these bars here. So you can set the faded to, did I set that? I gotta hit accept. Gotta get in the habit of hitting accept. There it is, it's 50. And then this bar will eventually fade. See how it's going to fade on its own eventually. There you go. See how it faded there? You can barely see it. So now it's a lot easier to see through. You'll see the same thing with target, and this one too. So now you got a faded look to it. And let's get this here, normal level. Once again, it's showing the same. And let's get back to faded. It's set to 50. Okay, see how it fades a little more? Practice with these and see what you like. See, if we go here, and you want to ask yourself, first thing I do is I look down to main chat. Can I see what's going on? Can I get an idea? Sure. And if I go here, I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to go like that. Okay, so that's basically how you set the basics up. Let's go ahead and invite, let's get into a group here, and take this group invite here. Now we have somebody in the group here. This is our group. So now you can see how this would work. You click on this person. So you have this target like this. See how close this is right there? And everything's there. Now let's go ahead and have him send something in group. See this here? Look at group right there. How it's flashing now. So now you know something is in group. So then you can click on it and go, oh, you see hi there. So this is the kind of thing that'll happen. Is you'll see that pop up just like that when they say something. And once again, so you'll never miss anything at all. So if you have this set to guild or whatever, and you see it flash, you can do this here. If you have your tells set to open a new window, that's always really good too. I like to do that. because sometimes it's easy to miss something like that. And it should be set, use tell windows right here. And this way, if he sends you a tell, it'll open it up. And here's how this goes. And there we go. See, this is his window. It says hi. So this will pop up a window just like that. You can always set up a tab for tells if you want, but like that. And you can send a tell right back. So this is how this works. And if you want your tell windows to have the faded look, you can do the same thing. Generally, I don't like to do that with the tell windows. I like them this way so that they really get my attention. But sometimes it's up to you. Okay, so this is the basics of setting up your interface. And I hope this helps all you. Here, we got some buffs on him. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try this out. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to go ahead and fight something, and you're going to see how the melee works right here. And remember, this one's going to show your hits and critical hits. It's just basically your hits. And like I said, you don't need to know if you killed the monster or not. When the monster dies, you'll know it. We're not going to get experience. Oops. And there we go. Let's see. So you hit him for 2 points, a 6 punch, and that's basically all you need to know. Okay. So just wanted to show you how that works, and that's how it goes. It doesn't show anybody else's stuff. So Nature Boy did cast a spell, as you can see here, and he killed the thing for us. But this is what you're going to show right here. And when you do your kick and all that's going to show up. Okay. Hope this helps, and good luck to all of you out there. Hope you can set up your layouts real nice. And yeah, maybe you'll come up with something really good. I've seen a lot of cool ones out there. As you work with it, you'll get better and better at it, and you'll have your own preferences and come up with some really nice ones. Thanks for watching.